You don't choose fate, but you can choose what to do with it. You didn't choose your birth. You didn't choose your parents. You didn't choose the betrayal, the accident, the timing, the loss. But here's the truth. That doesn't make you powerless. It makes you responsible. Not for what happened, but for how you respond, how you frame it, how you use it. Because pain doesn't ask permission, but it always leaves a choice. Hate it, resist it, get devoured by it, or face it, fold it, forge it into code. That's Amor Fati. Not soft, not poetic. Cold. You don't love fate because it feels good. You love it because it's real. Because resisting it gives it control, but embracing it gives you control. Amor Fati isn't passive. It's active surrender, strategic acceptance. You stop asking, why me? And start saying, good. Because if it's here, then it belongs. And if it belongs, then I will master it. You don't choose fate, but you can choose to own it. Completely, coldly, willingly. Why your mind hates fate. Your mind was built to predict, to calculate, to prepare. It doesn't care if things are good or bad. It only wants them to make sense, to be expected, to follow a script. So when life breaks the pattern, the mind panics. It doesn't say, this is a challenge. It says, this shouldn't be happening. That sentence is the root of suffering, because the brain doesn't want fate. It wants control, and fate doesn't ask for your permission. It interrupts. It bends your plans. It tears up your schedule and leaves no explanation. And your mind? It sees that as threat, as error, as loss of power. So it protests internally, silently, relentlessly. It reruns the moment in your head. It builds alternate timelines. If I had just done this, if they hadn't said that, if life was fair. That's not clarity. That's a panic loop dressed up as logic. An error loop, trying to reassert control where control never existed. The truth is, you were never in control of what happened, only in control of how you respond. But the mind resists that truth because it prefers the illusion of certainty, of fairness, of linearity. The mind doesn't need fairness. It craves patterns. But fate is chaos wearing a mask. It shows up uninvited, unpredictable, unapologetic. And unless you learn to receive it, you will always resist it. And what you resist will own you. The more you expect life to follow your rules, the more it will break you. Amor Fati starts when you stop needing reasons. Suffering doesn't come from reality. It comes from resistance. You say it hurts. You say it's unfair. You say, this shouldn't have happened. But here's the truth. It already did. And yet, you replay it, loop it, live it again and again. That's not pain. That's resistance. Pain is what happens. Suffering is what you do with it. The mind resists what it didn't choose. It fights what it didn't predict. It hates what it can't change. So it builds a loop. What if I had done something different? Why me? I didn't deserve this. That's the trap. Because now, you're no longer living in the present. You're fighting a ghost, a broken frame, still projected like it's real. That ghost becomes your captor. Not because it's strong, but because you feed it attention, emotion, narrative. And here's what your brain does next. It mistakes the loop for logic. It tells you, you need to understand what happened. You need closure. You need to feel it all again. You don't need closure. You need cold command. You don't need to understand the past. You need to stop carrying it. Because the longer you resist what is, the longer it owns you. What happened, happened. It's not a question. It's not a puzzle, it's a fact. The only variable left is what you do with it now. You don't suffer because life hurts. You suffer because you say no to what already is. Amor Fati begins when you say yes, coldly, clearly, without flinching. The cold logic of Amor Fati, 3 principles to break resistance. You were told Amor Fati is spiritual, that it means loving everything, that it's poetic, software, stoic. That's false. Amor Fati is mechanical, tactical, cold. It's not about feeling good, it's about regaining command. Here's how. 1. Accept without commentary. Most people don't resist what happened. They resist their own narration of it. This was bad. This shouldn't have happened. This ruined me. Those are not facts. They're judgments, and judgments keep the wound open. So the first principle is this: accept, without adding language. No story, no meaning, no complaint. It happened. That's it. Not good. Not bad. Just real. You don't heal by explaining reality. You heal by no longer fighting it. 2. Convert pain into power. Pain is not the enemy. Unused pain is. Pain is raw fuel. But most people let it rot. They wallow, they reflect. They wait for it to pass. It doesn't. Because pain unprocessed becomes identity. The second principle is use it. Turn it into structure. Turn it into focus. Turn it into silence. Don't express it. Don't explain it. Deploy it. Not to feel better, but to become stronger. The cold mind doesn't cry through pain. It metabolizes it. 3. Anchor to meaning, but choose it. Coldly, life is chaos, and the brain hates chaos, so it will assign meaning automatically. But when pain hits, the meanings turn poisonous. I deserved this. Life always screws me. I'll never be enough. That's emotional programming, and it spreads like a virus. So here's the third principle. Don't let meaning happen. Assign it. Choose a frame. Coldly, strategically, deliberately. Not, why me? But, what protocol does this unlock? Not, I lost everything. But, now I operate with nothing to lose. When you choose meaning, you lead the mind. When you don't, you follow the chaos. Amor Fati isn't about loving what hurts. It's about using what hurts to build the mind that never breaks. The survivor isn't lucky. He's just cold enough to say yes. He wasn't the strongest. He wasn't the fastest. He wasn't the most positive. He was a POW, tortured, starved, forgotten. Years inside a cage, no sunlight, no voice, no way out. But he survived, not because of faith, not because of hope, not because he stayed strong. He survived because of framing. He looked at hell and said, "Good. Now I get to learn something no one else can." That wasn't motivation. That was strategy. He didn't pretend it wasn't pain. He didn't deny the fear. He didn't lie to himself. He stopped labeling it. And that made it usable. He folded it into the process, turned the pain into precision, treated suffering like a signal, not a punishment. And every morning he told himself, "This isn't against me. This is me." That's Amor Fati in motion, not on paper, not in philosophy books, but inside a broken body with an unbreakable frame. He didn't need things to get better. He just needed to stop rejecting what already was. And when he got out, he didn't come back. He deployed. Because the man who returns from hell without hatred isn't a man anymore. He's a weapon. You don't escape fate by running from it. You escape by integrating it, by becoming the one who uses it better than anyone else. Final message. You were never a victim. You were just resisting the frame. You're not cursed. You're not unlucky. You're not doomed. You're just resisting what already is. A fact. A moment. A reality that didn't ask for your input. But resistance doesn't fix the event. It only feeds the pain. It turns facts into enemies, moments into memories that haunt. And that loop isn't fate. It's your framing, your refusal, your label. But here's the shift. You don't have to like your fate. You just have to own it. Fully. Coldly. Without commentary. Because once you stop saying, "This shouldn't have happened," you start asking, "What can I do with this now?" And that's the real power. Not optimism. Not healing. Just control. You don't need a better life. You need a colder lens, a sharper frame, a cleaner code. The world doesn't run your code, but you get to write it. But you don't have to keep performing the one you were handed. Because the truth is, you were never powerless. You just spent too long fighting what was already written. And now, you've seen it, and you don't get to unsee it. That's how cold mind moves, not by changing fate, but by folding it into precision. In the next video, we'll dissect the psychology of silence, power, and self-mastery. Why the coldest minds don't speak first, don't flinch, and don't need to be seen to be in control. Subscribe. You don't adapt to fate. You run it as code.